com, you see a lot of the stories we are talking about, including what the president calls an assault. Listen to President Obama try to explain what's going on right now in Wisconsin.
Some of what I've heard coming out of Wisconsin, where you're just making it harder for public employees to collectively bargain generally, seems like more of an attack on unions. And I think it's very important for us to understand that public employees, they're our neighbors, they're our friends.
And Mr. President, let me try to break this to you gently. It's not an assault on unions. No, you and those on the left choose to insult hard-working American taxpayers and, sadly, even unemployed American taxpayers who are paying for the privilege of making sure that those with union contracts in the teachers' union in Wisconsin don't have to pay, this is going to be a delicious time to use this term, don't have to pay their fair share of what is required for health insurance or for a pension. You know, these guys are not in the private sector, and what we are seeing, I'm flashing back to my days in college, taking a course at NC State on Soviet politics. The late, great Joe Mastro taught that course. And he talked about the official Soviet airline, and how passengers would get on the plane, and the crew, the flight crew, and the flight attendants would get on the plane last, and how the passengers were supposed to stand because of this mythical glorification of the worker, and how the concept of service was not existent. Now, take a look at what we have done with so-called public employees unions. Unions are bureaucrats. We have given people in the employee of our state and federal and county and municipal governments, we have given them generous packages that can never, ever, in these tough economic times, realistically continue. The money's not there. And yet here you have Barack Obama, who owes his election in no small part. If you had the three legs of the tripod, it would be the Hollywood left, and you would also have the trial lawyers bar, and of course the unions, who give 99 and 44, so 100% of their dues to Democrat candidates. That's to whom Barack Obama owes his time in the White House. And so he is spinning like a whirling dervish, trying to humanize union thugs. Listen, there's more from President Obama.
Yeah, they make a lot of sacrifices and make a big contribution, and I think it's important not to vilify them or to suggest that somehow all these budget problems are due to public employees.
And Mr. President, nobody's suggesting that all the budget problems are due to public employees, but to suggest that these bureaucrats, and especially the Wisconsin Teachers Union, is making a lot of sacrifices and making a big contribution, at least in terms of their retirement and their health insurance, that is not the truth. And the fact is, and again, I would really invite you to go to michaelsavage.com. The headline, 2/3 of Wisconsin 8th graders cannot read proficiently. Mr. President, how is that making a big contribution? Time and again, we have seen this throughout our history. Dial it back now over a half century when Lyndon Johnson was president. He was going to have a great society. He was going to clear war on poverty. All we ended up doing was throwing money at problems and creating a whole lot of government jobs. And the poor, as Scripture reminds us, the poor are always among us. Now, I'm not saying that as some sort of fatalistic situation, but rather pointing out the irony of a so-called war on poverty that sure didn't eliminate poverty, but it created a whole lot of government jobs. I'll never forget, and I'll leave the name of this commentator out. But he was pointing out to a group of conservatives, he was talking about the parallels between Ronald Reagan and John F. Kennedy. And he said, well, take a look at these two guys. John F. Kennedy, Ronald Reagan, both strong on national defense, both tax cutters. What's the real difference? And I said, well, here's the big difference. JFK signed an executive order allowing federal bureaucrats to unionize. Ronald Reagan, when the air traffic controllers tried to go out on strike, tried to be involved in a work stoppage, Ronald Reagan said, one morning, so come back to work. They didn't do so. Ronald Reagan fired them because they jeopardized public safety. You and I have reduced Calvin Coolidge to a caricature in American politics. Silent Cal. But it's worth noting that in 1919, when he was governor of Massachusetts, the Boston police tried to go on strike. It was Calvin Coolidge who famously said, that man of few words, who famously said, there is no right to strike against the public safety by anybody, anywhere, anytime. And you can say, well, wait a minute, these days cops don't go on strike. No, but have you seen a street theater, well, let's call it street agitation, Saul Alinsky style, play out in Madison, Wisconsin, in the capital of Wisconsin. And you've seen cops look the other way, and you've seen